Generally speaking, the term runaway jury is understood to relate to civil jurors who get so caught up in the case that they come up with a damages award that is just not economically rational. And the verdict doesn't bear any really sort of clear, rational economic relation to the nature of the harm that has been proved at trial. And the idea that in some settings and in some geographical locations, essentially civil jury trials in certain cases are just getting out of control. There have been some jurisdictions at some times where the ability of jurors to impose unjust civil damages awards on particularly big companies has caused companies who are providing a necessary product, could be anything from medical care to just running a gas station. There are companies who have definitely fled those jurisdictions with the result that people in those jurisdictions don't have access to things they need because companies perceive that it's not a safe place to do business. Reasonable people can really differ about what constitutes a runaway jury. Does it happen sometimes? Almost certainly yes. Is it a sufficiently persistent and pernicious aspect of the system that it calls for significant, major, momentous interventions so that we significantly change the way that juries function within the civil system? Of that, I am less persuaded. So there are a number of things that judges can do to try to control so-called runaway juries. And they can determine what testimony is admissible, including expert testimony, so they determine what comes in and what doesn't come in. They can influence, to some extent, the nature of the questioning, what questions are appropriate, what questions are not. They also determine what instructions the jury will receive. How you feel about tort reform really depends on kind of your perspective, both in terms of how you think the balance is set right now and whether you actually think there's a significant problem or whether the more high-profile cases are really just outliers. But it also depends on what you think the overall function of a jury in our system should be. A judge can set aside a jury verdict if there's insufficient evidence to support it. This idea that you get a bunch of jurors together and they ultimately make the decision about who's liable to whom, it's been a part of our history for a long time. There's no magic answer to that question. Members of the founding era absolutely believed that juries, both in the criminal side and the civil side, were essential to the administration of justice in any liberal democracy.